Hi everyone, and welcome to our November Best Practice webinar. The topic today is how to maximize student engagement and save time creating email communications with Cerkl automated newsletters. I'm Ryan Pratt, the Director of Marketing at GradLeaders. I've got Andy Richardson sitting here next to me. He's the Manager of Customer Success at GradLeaders. And then we also have Maddie and Michael from Cerkl online with us. They're going to be—
Hi everyone.
Hi Maddie. Michael, are you there?
Absolutely. Hello.
So our agenda today, I'm going to take a few minutes at the beginning to explain our new partnership with Cerkl. Andy's then going to walk you through exactly how it works. And then Maddie and Michael are going to do a quick live demonstration of Cerkl for you. We'll wrap up with a Q&A section and next steps. As a reminder, everyone is muted on entry, but if you have questions, please submit them via the chat functionality directly within WebEx, and feel free to type them in anytime. We can answer them all during the live Q&A a little bit later, but please use the chat functionality, not the Q&A. I know that's confusing, but the chat is just easier for everybody. So what is Cerkl? Just about a month ago, GradLeaders entered into an exclusive new partnership to offer tailored job search content and targeted Career Center news curated specifically for your job-seeking college students. By partnering with Cerkl, our GradLeaders Career Center users can now quickly and easily create automated e-newsletters using the content they already have, including the jobs and events directly out of your Career Center platform. In the end, we're certain that this is going to maximize engagement with career service offices and ultimately help your students find their dream jobs. In general, people are overwhelmed today with the amount of content they receive. There is definitely a communication overload. For those of you who've had some experience in marketing or communications, you already know this, but people and their inboxes are overwhelmed. In the last minute, this is all the traffic content that was created via social media, so just in the last 60 seconds. The CEO of Google recently just said, the world will produce more content in the last 4 years than we have from the beginning of time to the end of the year combined. So there is just a ton of content being created out there. The average person today is getting about 100 emails a day. So just think about your own experiences. You're flagging your emails you get for later, the ones you want to respond to, or you're setting up reminders to follow up on them later. But things get busy and our time often gets consumed. People, and especially your students, especially your younger millennial students, are tuning out. On top of that, about 3/4 of people today are frustrated because the content that they are receiving doesn't match their interests. So we are bombarded with generic email blasts that say the same thing to every recipient. And Cerkl can help with this, but we'll talk more about that here a little bit later. So additionally, you, the email sender, is spending somewhere between 10 and 60 hours per month building emails manually, one by one, debating on what content to include, what subject line to use, figuring out when and how often to send those generic emails. And you're doing all of that for a 19% open rate on your emails and a 2.8% click-through rate. Again, Cerkl can help with this. Not only saving you time to create emails, but also improving your open rates and click-through rates on those emails. GradLeaders and Cerkl solves all of these problems. So it not only maximizes engagement with your Career Center and your online career service offerings, but also helps you reach more students by taking the hassle out of content distribution and automatically personalizing each message to each student. In the end, again, we think that this is going to help more of your students find their dream job and take less effort on your end to do so. A lot of schools are already utilizing Cerkl, so despite the partnership being new, there's already a lot of schools using Cerkl. They were using Cerkl before the partnership. And we have a few that are already trying out the new Cerkl and GradLeaders Career Center integrations. One of the best success stories that Cerkl had is at the University of Dayton. So they actually saw a 300% increase in click-through rates and about 109% increase in their email open rates. In fact, on average, Cerkl sees a 41.2% open rate and an 18.9% click-through rate on their Cerkl newsletters, which is well above the national averages. So now the part you've all been waiting for, so how does this actually work? What does it look like? So I'm going to pass it over to my colleague Andy here to actually walk you through this and let you see what a student's going to see. And then Maddie and Michael will do a live demonstration later, probably show you that as well, but also show you from your end what you're going to see as a career service admin.
Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, so we'll talk about a little bit how this works, just from a high level to get started. How to, your content, your news, your events and jobs, how do you get that information to your busy audience? So what we've always historically heard from career centers is we're creating all this content, it's not getting to students. How do we get more students to engage with our office, view job postings, come to career fairs, etc. So how it starts is it starts with students. Cerkl is going to take their explicit interests, whether they're interested in finance or writing resumes, etc. Students are going to get an onboarding email that's going to capture that. Cerkl is also going to capture their implicit interests, so not what the students filled out in the initial email, but what they've actually clicked on in the newsletter. It's also then going to ask them what schedule they prefer. When do they want to get this content that's most convenient? And then also, Cerkl has the ability to take the content you're creating and interpret it to different languages. I believe over 300 languages, so that each student is reading and seeing the content in their native language. Cerkl is going to also save you a bunch of time. So creating a newsletter, writing a blog, all that stuff can take hours and hours. And what Cerkl does is it pulls jobs and internships from the Career Center platform, automatically inserting those into the newsletter. It can also do the same with company events that you're creating, career fairs, any other company event in the system. It's going to take that, curate that content, and automatically pull it into the newsletter. Of course, your students are interested in a lot of other content outside of the stuff you're creating, so you can also take Cerkl and point it, per se, at other content sources, whether it be sports, career advice, our own GradLeaders Campus Career Coach, Forbes, etc. What Cerkl will do, once you point it at those content sources, it's going to grab that content off the web, automatically curate that content, and either insert it to the newsletter automatically or allow you to review and approve it. The end result is kind of what you're seeing here. This is a mock-up of a newsletter using kind of our generically branded demo site. Now, so your newsletter that students would receive would be branded to your particular career center or university. It's going to have jobs that are specific to each individual student's interests. They're going to also see events and workshops that are unique to them. Content that you create, such as news, blog posts, etc. You can also, as I mentioned earlier, pull in that additional content from other sources to kind of fill the buckets in areas of content that you're not going to take the time and write and create yourself. Cerkl will curate that and pull it in. And social media integration is available as well. You can pull in that content you're posting to Twitter, YouTube, Pinterest, Facebook, and have it inserted into the newsletter as well. So we'll kind of walk through real quick what the experience looks like from a student perspective. And then we'll probably show some of this live here with the help of the folks over at Cerkl. So here we have a student, Anna, who's in the class of 2019, who has a particular major in design and has a couple interests. We'll take you here through the onboarding process per se. The first is she's going to get an email from your career center that's powered by Cerkl, and it's going to ask her to state her explicit interests and communicate her schedule. This process is designed to take about 30 seconds to a minute. So it's designed to be really quick so that a student can fill out that information and create a really nice customized newsletter. The first thing they're going to see, it's going to ask them what is the topics that you're interested in. So this is custom lists that the school creates for their target audience. Normally it's about 15 to 20 or so different content channels per se. And the student's going to click through and fill out, select which content channel they're interested in hearing more about. The next is they're going to see another screen that says, all right, which of these content channels do you not really have a lot of interest in seeing? Next, they're going to set their schedule. So they pick the cadence that they receive the newsletter and the time that's most convenient. Now, the Career Center that's setting this up has some control here. If you want to make sure that at least students are receiving the newsletter, say, every 2 weeks, you could eliminate some of the options. You set the defaults here to kind of control the baselines for when the students would receive the newsletter, but then they're going to have options to pick from to customize it from there. The last step in the student process is picking the format. They're presented with a couple different options. The first is very graphical, lots of pictures and just very little text, very visually appealing. The second option is what's called Headlines Plus. So they're going to see smaller pictures and a little bit more text. This is kind of the trendy, more social media-like look I think we're probably more used to now. The third option is a more traditional approach, so more text and smaller pictures when they're viewing the content. The end result, and we've talked about this a little bit before, is they're getting a newsletter that's completely personalized to each individual student. So subject line is going to be personalized. Content is going to be ordered by their interests. Upcoming events and Career Center news is going to be unique to that individual student. Jobs are going to be unique based on what they've said they're interested in. Social media updates as well, and then you also have the ability to wrap in your corporate sponsorship program as well with the newsletter. I think Maddie will show this in a little more detail in a moment, so I really won't go too far into this, but you have great access on the back end as an administrator to see what type of content is connecting with your students, the percentages of your students that are engaged or not engaged, type of click-through and open rates you're getting from the platform. This really gives you a great home base to kind of go in and see what type of content is connecting and how successful your efforts are being. I think the end result, especially if you're measuring this before, is you're going to see a dramatic improvement in open and click-through rates. And then ultimately what we want that to lead to, and we think it will, is more students viewing job postings, more students coming to company events and interacting with your Career Center. So at this point, we're going to turn things over to Maddie to kind of jump into the Cerkl platform and show some of the technology live and get you a little bit of exposure to it.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy.
Yep.
I will go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. All right, can everyone see okay?
Yep, we can see it.
Ryan and Andy?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time today, guys. It's great to connect with all of you out there and for us to be able to show you a little bit about Cerkl and bring you, closer together with the GradLeaders team as well. So to kind of give you a little background on myself, I am the Director of Career Services here at Cerkl, and my main goal and focus is to make sure that all of our partners are successful. And what we really do is try to understand what your goals are throughout the life cycle of your partnership with us, and then we're going to take those goals and help you reach them. So to give you a little idea of how Cerkl works and how this would look on the admin side of things, I'm just going to show you a few different functionality and points that you might be interested in seeing, because at the end of the day, we can show you the slide deck and how great Cerkl is, but you guys will be using this on a daily basis. So let's start here. Here what we have is your content archive page. This is going to be a host of all your blog content, all the articles that you guys have curated are pulled from external sources, so it'll all live here for you. It looks great, it's a nice layout, all of your students can access this at any point, and then you can even funnel it down into different sections, so if you have events or updates or needs. So to kind of jump into the content itself, how does the content get to this point? First, with the partnership between Cerkl and GradLeaders, all of your events and your job postings will automatically be funneled into Cerkl. So no more copying and pasting and trying to get the right content to the right student. Cerkl will help facilitate all of that for you. Now, on the back end, there are a couple other ways in which you can create content in your Cerkl. The first way is to bring in external sources. So here, we're pulling in some different RSS feeds or blog articles from various outside links. Everything's funneled nicely into your queue where you can then go through and easily, let's pick a good one, 11 high-paying jobs that are disappearing in the U.S. Let's say, hey, I want this to be published to our content archive, where then it is available to go into any student's newsletter based on their interest and on their schedule. So you would easily go through and say, hey, this is about career exploration. This is about business careers. Let's see, what else might this be? Education and job market trends. From there, you'd easily hit approve, and the content will appear on your content archive page. Now you don't have to worry about designing and sending those digital newsletters. That piece of content will get to the right student based on the categories and topics they've chosen through the welcome and onboarding process that Andy showed you before. You can see it looks great here. The next way in which you can create content is easily adding content yourself. So let's say your career services director wants to write a post about how well the students are doing finding jobs after graduation. You can easily create content within Cerkl's CMS itself. You have all the functionality, so you can create your title, the story, your post. You can easily go through, add an image. I think I have a good one on my desktop. Let's take a look. Here we go. Lastly, you'll go through and select the categories of which this article is about. Now, we do use IBM's Watson to auto tag. Since I didn't create a lot of content here, it's not going to recognize any of these categories and tag them appropriately, but I'll just go through for the sake of this demonstration and show you what this might be about. So let's say international careers and job search. There are a couple other pieces of functionality here that allow you to maintain that control, but that's kind of a deeper dive. For this today, I just want to show you high level how everything works and the ease and usability. So after you create your article, you quickly hit publish, and then again, you'll see that article arrive on your content archive page where it is available to go out into any newsletter. Now, one other really cool feature that we provide all of our partners is the fact that you can bring in external links, like one by one. So let's say you found this awesome article online about establishing your personal brand. You can quickly grab the URL of that article. You can head back to your Cerkl under the link feature and paste that link. This will automatically populate the article and the images and any tags associated. So it's very easy for you guys to be more strategic about the content you're creating. Instead of having to sit there, design, and create a newsletter, you can really begin to allow your team to have the time to sit down, strategically plan, and understand what your students want to hear about from your school. So next, I want to go ahead and show you what a live newsletter would look like. I know we saw one on the deck itself, but it's always good to see what it would look like in an inbox. So here you can see this is from the Campus Career Coach, which is run by GradLeaders. You can see it has a nice branding and images at the top. You can see all the content is funneled based on my interests within these topics. And if I have not gone through and personalized already, it will always prompt me to go through and set my personalized preferences. So we'll go ahead and do that quickly so you can take a look at that. While that's loading, here we go. So here you can see these are some of the things I have already mentioned I was interested in, some of the categories I was already interested in based on some of the other career service newsletters I might personally be following. So I can go through and say I am not interested in creative careers. I am interested in internship searches and so on. you always have the ability to change your frequency. So let's say I want it once per week, and I want to receive it at lunchtime. So it's very easy to go through and reset your preferences, so it allows for your students to really feel like you are putting, you know, their interests and their thoughts first and as a priority to you. Next, I want to go ahead and take you through some of our analytics. I think this is really where Cerkl shines. This is kind of our bread and butter. I know we had mentioned that we can save you time and your open rates will be great, your click-through rates will be great, but you now have the ability to stop the guessing game. So this is going to show you just high level some of the insights. Obviously, we're going to show you how you're doing, your open rate, your click-through rate, the percentage of the students that have gone through and personalized. We're going to give you an overall engagement score, which is basically just a snapshot. So how are you guys doing? And those are algorithms on the back end based on the open rate, click-through rate you currently have in your account versus the national averages. So diving a little deeper here, you can see some of the other insights and actionable data sets that we provide you. So not only do we tell you how you're doing, we're also going to tell you what are your most popular topics and what are your content opportunities. So this is a great way for your team to brainstorm, you know, new events on campus, or if you have your career fair, what should that, you know, focus be around? Here with content opportunities, these are going to be a list of topics that a large majority of your audience is interested in hearing about, but your team hasn't spoken about them in over 30 days, or your audience is digesting that content at a faster rate than you're producing it. So Cerkl is giving you all the answers to the test. No more guessing on what should we send to the student or what should go in this newsletter. You now have every piece of information at your fingertips. So at this point, I think that was kind of a high-level overview of how Cerkl works in the back-end side of things. I think I'd like to pass it back to Ryan to see if we have any additional questions and so on. Let's see. Go ahead.
I think I can take it back from you, Maddie. Thanks so much.
Perfect.
So yes, we are going to jump back into the PowerPoint deck here and take some questions, and I've already seen quite a few come in. So a reminder, for those of you who haven't submitted questions yet, please use the chat functionality, not the Q&A. It's easier so that if we on GradLeaders don't know the answer to this, we can have Maddie or Michael chime in as the experts on Cerkl. But we got a few questions already. So first question is, can we get access to the data based on what the students say they're interested in? And I think that question came in before Maddie got to that part of the insights. But Maddie, can you elaborate on that one more time for him?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a bunch of different reports that you can pull. Some of the insights I just quickly showed you were high level, but you'll be able to pull data sets based on segments. So if you have all your freshman students versus your senior students, you can see what topics are they interested in versus the other segment. You can pull data based on a specific time period, and then you can even send interest-based solicitations to just those individuals who have said that they're interested in, let's say, you know, technology and innovation. So you really have the ability and the flexibility here to provide the most engaging and relevant information to your audience at any point. Perfect,
thank you. The next two questions we have are sort of related, so I'm going to handle them both at the same time. So how is this different from the current communication preference widget in GradLeaders Career Center today, and is there a fee to add in the Cerkl tool? So we're really thinking about Cerkl as a much more robust, advanced, smart, so artificially intelligent communication preference tool. So there is an add-on cost for it. It is based on the number of emails you want to include. They really serve two different purposes. We think of Cerkl, best use case is we think of Cerkl as a tool to help you maximize engagement with your Career Center. So it's really, the best practice is to get all of your students' email addresses right from the registrar and plug them into Cerkl to get them logged into GradLeaders Career Center so that you can start then using the communication preference tool to get them deeper and re-engage them later. But Cerkl is really about that initial engagement point. I know we work with lots of undergraduate schools and graduate schools. I think the use case is different depending on where you sit. A lot of the graduate schools don't have an engagement issue. They get most of their students to register with career services, where undergraduate is the opposite. We see about a 30% engagement rate across the board at undergraduate schools. So a little bit different. I think no matter who you are, Cerkl is going to save you a ton of time communicating with students. So it really can be as simple as take 3 to 5 hours to get it set up. You'll see later the 4 simple things we need from you in order to get started. And you can plug all this content in, and it kind of runs on its own. And if you never wanted to go in and add more content, and you didn't want to go in and moderate posts from other content providers like Bloomberg or Forbes or wherever, it could just run on its own, and you only need to log in when you want to see the insights and when you want to see what students are interested in. So no matter what, if you're at a graduate school or undergraduate school, I think it's going to save you time and give you invaluable insights into what your students are interested in. The next question we have, and there are a bunch coming in now, next question we have is Cerkl available to use with employers and recruiters? And this is a very interesting question. So we just launched this partnership a month ago, as I said earlier, and we've actually got a couple schools piloting this with us right now so that we can learn things and learn other use cases like this. I can see who asked this question, so we will follow up, or we'll have your customer success manager follow up with you to talk more about that, because maybe you can pilot this with us on something like that as well. We have another question I think is probably best for Maddie or Michael to answer. I know the brief answer, but they can definitely elaborate on it. It is, can we set it so that there is some content that is mandatory? So Maddie or Michael, can you talk about the pinned content? And I think there's another way you can do this as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So with the additional features I was showing earlier, you have the ability to maintain all that control. So you can override preferences and say, hey, this is really important. All of our students need to know that, Winter Career Fair is next week. So you can tag a certain article or post as a top story, so it'll be the first thing that everyone sees in their newsletter. You can also pin content, meaning I want this article to live in everyone's newsletter from this date to this date. So those types of content work well when they are campaign driven. So if it's, you have a campaign the entire month of November, you can pin that piece of content. Then you also have the ability to make a story required, which means everyone has to receive this piece of content, and it does not leave their newsletter until they engage with it. So again, multiple ways to do that. You also have the dedicated email feature. So let's say, there's a snowstorm and the Career Services Winter Career Fair got canceled, unfortunately. Well, we can't wait for that to be in everyone's next newsletter. We need to tell them today, right? So you can send that out through the dedicated email feature, and you can schedule that specific post to go out to the entire audience or just a group.
Awesome, thanks, Maddie. Next question we have is, will we get the slides to share with our team to help determine if this is something we'd like to utilize? Again, I can see who asked that question, so we'll be sure to follow up with you directly. You can have the slides. We're actually recording this as well, so that's why we're trying to keep this a little bit anonymous, so we can share the recording with you as well. But yes, we will share this, and your customer success manager can even do a more personalized demo for you if you'd like. So we've got another question. As a business school, we would want to customize the categories and interests. Is this possible, and is there an additional cost? So I think I can handle this one, but Maddie, Michael, chime in if I misspeak. You can definitely customize the categories and interests. I believe Cerkl suggests 15 to 20 categories. We have a list that we would actually suggest to graduate business schools. If you're super interested, you can actually go into our knowledge base and look it up. It's one of the FAQs in the knowledge base today. So we have something that you can at least start with to react to. We always believe that it's easier to react to something than coming up with a list on your own. But you can absolutely make the categories and interests wherever you want. Next question is, you didn't say what the cost was. So yes, there is a cost for this add-on. It is based off of the number of emails that you include in Cerkl. So it can start at about $1,000 for small schools, and it can go up to about $10,000 for large, huge public institutions. So it's all based on the number of emails you want to include. We don't charge extra for this, but at undergraduate schools, we actually suggest that you include parent email addresses as well. So this won't count against how much it costs for you, but as you probably know, the parents oftentimes care more about their students finding a job than the students actually do. And so if you include the parents' email addresses in here as well, if you have access to that, they often end up getting the newsletter, personalizing it, pretending that they're a student, and then forwarding emails off to their students to help get them engaged. A few more questions here. Some of them just look like comments.
One piece of context I'll add to some of the things Ryan has said is, and I think we'll have a slide towards the end, but anyone that would like to dive deeper, I may not be the customer success manager for everyone that's on this presentation today, but feel free to connect with me if you don't know who your customer success manager is, and I can either help you or hand it off to the right contact. My name again is Andrew Richardson, and my email is arichardson@gradleaders.com. So feel free to reach out to me for follow-up, and I'll help you or get you to the right person.
It looks like most of the rest of these people are just commenting that they'd be interested, which is great news.
Definitely not a bad thing.
So if I missed any questions, there's a long list here, but most of them look like comments. If we missed anything, we can see who submitted what, and we'll follow up with you one-on-one as well. So I think we've got plenty of time left. There's not too many slides left. I already handled the question section. So hopefully everybody is aware of this by now, but we always want to take this opportunity to remind people of our new school partner support portal. You can see on the bottom of the screen here where it's located, gradleaders.com/partner-support. There's lots of great information here for all of our products, lots of technical documentation and knowledge base and guides and how-to videos and training courses here, so please utilize this if you're not already. You also start to find a bunch of content here related to Cerkl too, so if you want to just dig in on your own, there are guides that talk about Cerkl. There's a bunch of information. There's a bunch of best practices as well, including marketing kits for students and employers, and some best practice examples from other schools. So please utilize this if you're not already. This is just an example of some of the stuff you'll find there. So there are quick start guides, which are simple 4-step processes for either your students, your employers, or yourself, the Career Center admins using the system. There's videos, there's templates that you can download that are Word docs that you can customize to yourself and send emails out, send text messages out through the new text messaging functionality within GradLeaders Career Center. Social media templates, all of that exists here. I also want to remind you that these best practice webinars occur on the second Thursday of every month at noon. We already have the topic scheduled for the December 14th webinar. It's going to be all about some new functionality and a lot of old functionality that exists that allows you to take control of your system, customize the system on your own, and configure the system on your own without having to submit support tickets or get us to help. So please sign up for those. Also a reminder to save the date for our GradLeaders conference. It is May 7th through the 10th in Columbus, Ohio. Lots of great content no matter who you are. There's going to be career services representatives from both our undergraduate and graduate schools. There's going to be employers there for the whole event. There's going to be institutional research offices there for the entire event, and we've already got a great keynote lined up as well, so save the date for that. And then lastly, I'm just going to pass it back to Andy for next steps.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, you reach out to your customer success manager to take a deeper dive into the platform or get additional information. If you don't know who that is, you can feel free to send me a note. Again, it's arichardson@gradleaders.com, and I'll either help you myself or kind of triage it to the member of my team that you guys work with. Really, the implementation process is designed to be pretty quick. There's definitely some customization you can do to build out the email newsletter and build out the platform. But and Maddie can attest to this, we've kind of built it so that you can have a newsletter up and running in a pretty short period of time. So we're pretty excited about the Career Centers being able to leverage this technology and take advantage of it. I don't think, Ryan, is there anything else we want to cover? I think that's it.
No, I think that's it, yeah. You will automatically be redirected to the site once we end the webinar today, but you can check out more information at gradleaders.com/Cerkl, or again, reach out to Andy, or just send a generic email to demo@gradleaders.com, or call the generic phone number and talk to anybody at any time.
Yeah, the demo@gradleaders.com will go to our whole team as well, so feel free to use that email, and it'll kind of get to all of us.
Thanks, everybody, for joining, and especially thank you to Michael and Maddie for chipping in and doing that demo today.
Of course. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.